And then I will unpause. Hello, everyone. It's time for our monthly chat series, What's the Buzz? You might be joining us from LinkedIn Live or YouTube Live or here right on Zoom, whichever one is great. We're glad to have you here. So thank you. And as you know, this is our monthly chat series where we talk about tips and tricks, best practices, industry news, anything we want to educate and inform you on in this wonderful ERP technology space. My name is Amy Keenan. I am your host today and excited that you're here. We also have Bill and Nicole from Aldrich Web Solutions, who will actually be our ones chatting today about online invoice payment for distributors, which seems to be a very hot topic, I hear. So I'm excited to have you both on here today for What's the Buzz?
Thanks for having us.
Yeah, thanks for having us. We're excited.
Me
Yeah,
too. I'll let you share your screen and we will get started with the presentation today in our chat, and welcome everyone. Hopefully you can see our information, our slides, and you can see us, and looks good to me. So I think we can get you guys going.
awesome. And then if you have questions, when questions come in, is there a chat box, or if you're live, can you monitor those live and we can get to those? We just want
Yes.
to make this more of a conversation. As questions pop up, we can chat through those, and we know you're really busy, and it's always more fun when it's conversational rather than just line by line. But that being
Yes.
said, we got to give you some information first before we ask questions, right? I'm Nicole, again, from Aldrich, and this is Bill. And I've been working with you now, it'll be 2 years doing this here. And in the last year or so, Bill has really been getting a lot of feedback from our current customers about needing a place for payments. We work specifically with distributors and have had 20 years of experience in e-commerce. And so we have built a platform or a portal to address kind of this trend. So hopefully today, by the end of this, you might have some things to consider to make your customers, maybe they're not ready for full e-commerce yet, or maybe they have full e-commerce, but they're getting a whole lot of questions and things that are wasting their time that could just be placed online. And we're excited to show you kind of some of those options today. So without further ado, we're just going to talk about some challenges, why I think that this is such a hot topic, and maybe some solutions for those challenges and some trends that we've seen over on our side. And then if you have any questions during this presentation, please let us know. So here's some challenges of what we've seen in the distribution sector, especially because that's who we've been working with, is now that we've shifted since the pandemic really towards digitalizing most things, the expectation for being able to make payments online has become a necessity and much less of a convenience. You can pick up your phone and make payments from a personal level. They expect the same thing to reflect in their businesses. So one of the challenges of taking payments, as you know, is that it's a high effort. It takes a lot to process, especially for some smaller distributors, some small, medium-sized businesses. That manual paper-based invoicing system is expensive, both for the staffing that you have to process those invoices, but also like drive time to the bank, getting your mail, checking stamps, are your envelopes ordered? Can you send out invoices? And then what happens if they get lost in the mail or checks get lost in the mail? That processing time that used to work 20 years ago, 10 years ago, really has found its way into the digital world is easier. And I found one of the quotes on that, 40% of B2B businesses right now are still using paper checks. 40%. So there's definitely a huge gap in that trend that you can fill and provide some customer service there. So manually reconciling those invoices once you get them in, if you're still using paper checks, and processing that data for our customers, getting them back into their ERP accurately, it's just slow. And we can always use more efficient ways of doing those things. Speaking of that, payment delays, we see this often too, right? Traditional invoice payments may feel most comfortable to our current clientele, or most of our current clientele. They're used to writing the check. They're used to looking at the remittance 60, 90 days later. But the bottlenecks in that process, from what they need to order from your business to when they receive their product to when you get paid, can be a long time. And that cash on hand is more and more important as you're trying to grow your business and keep more things in your warehouse. So we don't want payment delays from your warehouses in that respect. And then I am currently working remotely. I think Bill is as well today. The office is closed, but we used to have the back, doors were always open and the desk was open and you could walk in and place your orders, is no longer. Sometimes the whole AR department is remote. Sometimes your sales departments are remote. And in that kind of invoice payment setting, who sends invoice? Where does it go to? How much more of a delay is that when the offices are not open? There's another quote that says 45% of those payments come in on nights, weekends, and holidays, which would make sense because no one is thinking about paying invoices at 9:30 when they're on their morning meetings or they're checking inventory. It's typically the like, oh, I need to close my books for the day. I'll make my payment on Saturday, or I'll, if you're the business owner, your CEOs are at home like, oh gosh, I need to pay my invoices. It's the 1st or the 15th of the month. And they're doing that on their free time. They're typically not doing that during the office day. 45% of people anyway are not doing that. So in general, like that fraud risk of mailing, minimal authorization, depending on where your staff is, if it's remote, if it's not. If you have unpredictable payment delays, that affects your cash flow and then long-term financial planning. So let's fix some of these challenges, or at least see where there's some opportunities that a portal could help in this realm. So we'd already talked about this a little bit. I have my cell phone here to my left, but your customers are already using payment portals. I personally use a payment portal for my healthcare. I look to see when my doctor's appointment is. I can re up my prescriptions if I need to. Even my hairdresser, I don't call her anymore. I have an app on my phone that I click on and I can schedule, oh, I'm sick, I need to move it. If you have kids in college and you're paying a tuition bill, pretty sure you can get an email on your phone and there's a portal that they make it as easy as possible for you to pay that tuition from your hand. You're already used to using them. And if the general public and your customers are used to using those portals, this is just an easy way for you to fill that gap. They may not even know they need it until they're like, oh, I'm doing it 15 other ways. I'm paying my online bills, I'm paying my gas bill, I'm looking at my healthcare stuff. I can do my banking statements, everything online. It would be nice for me to be able to also pay my invoices online. And then that is the same thing with customer support. We call this the invisible customer support team. It enhances your customer support with 24-hour online access. So again, if you're working remotely or you're a 2 a.m.er, you work best in the wee hours of the morning and you want to reconcile your books, you have a portal to be able to do that when the business that you're trying to get a hold of is closed. So if I have a question about invoices, or if I only want to do a partial payment or any of those things, I don't have to call in anymore. I don't have to wait from the 9 to 5 business hours are open. I can just log in at my convenience and see what needs to be paid, what's outstanding, what do I need to order some more of. All of that is in a portal, which means you have time to work on planning and things to grow your business and other areas where you're wearing so many hats. Let the portal provide that invisible customer support and those timing things to make your business grow and for your customers to make that easier. Automation means, and same thing, right? We automate the process, and Bill will talk about this in a minute, of the quote to cash kind of funnel. But automating that process means you get paid sooner and on your terms, because inside the portal, you can really kind of delineate how you want to get paid, or your ACH, where all of those things are going. And then you're switching from your manual processing to a digital solution. I think obviously over half of us have already done that. We're just 40 to 45% of B2B businesses are really looking to see how I can switch over from manual. I know that I need to switch over from manual. Is this possible, and does it work for me? Okay, so the next one, if you have been around Aldrich et al., our founder loved race cars, and he still does. He loves race cars. And I always say, like, the competitive advantage, Bill, if it'll go to the next slide, for going the extra mile is kind of like the differences between shopping for me at Nordstrom's or Walmart, or if you guys have Chick-fil-A's in your area, it's like me shopping at a Chick-fil-A as opposed to another fast food restaurant. I know what I'm getting when I go to Chick-fil-A. I know that they're going the extra mile. I know I can place an order on my Chick-fil-A portal. I know that it will take me less time to feed my family of 3. I know, they have it all figured out. we want to provide a way for you to go that extra mile. Like, yeah, sure, we have traffic jams. We all have to, drive to work. We all know what that feels like. And even when traffic is sort of moving and it's not frustrating, it's still okay. But when you go the extra mile, people tend to stick with you because they have the expectation that that's where it's going. They know what's coming. They know that you'll take care of them and they'll stick with you. So that's why I put in here, this is our race car, is that there's no traffic jams along that extra mile. You can provide the extra customer support. This is where they're going to flock to, and then you'll maintain customers and then get new customers from here. So some of the advantages that we have found, and just in the last, 3 months, Bill, these first two, our development team released for our current customers. But the first one is anonymous payment capabilities. And that just means that they don't require a login. You don't have to have so many specifics. People or your AR department have a login. If you have an outstanding invoice, you can just email that out. There'll be a secure link there and anyone can pay that invoice. So you don't have to worry about, well, I don't have 15 people across my whatever state that you're in. I need to have capabilities for them to pay invoices. We can just set that up so that here's the link. They can pay that anonymously, and that really simplifies the customer experience. They don't even have to log in, right? It's just a simple link. And lastly, before Bill shares about our Dunning emails, because he's got a picture of this, this is from a quote from Statista, and it's B2B buyers will pay a premium for great e-commerce experiences. 87% of buyers will pay more for a supplier with an excellent portal. Almost 90% of buyers will pay more to use your customers' distribution businesses if they have a portal. That's a crazy number. So I thought that was really powerful, and the reason why we've developed this and kind of put lots of time and effort in thinking and getting feedback from current customers and seeing how this works for them. So any questions so far, or Bill's going to show what the Dunning emails look like on this competitive advantage.
No questions yet, but if you do have any, feel free to put them in the chat.
Perfect. All right, Bill.
All right. Good afternoon, everyone. So what we found really is some of the invoice payment solutions that are out there have opportunities, right, as far as to really take it to that first class solution. So we offer a first class solution, allowing your AR team to be able to set up Dunning emails. And you might say, so what are Dunning emails? So Dunning emails basically go back into the ERP, find all the open invoices based on the criteria that you set up, right? So for instance, you could set something up that would be 5 days before. So if 5 days before that invoice is due, it's going to pull every invoice that's due in 5 days and automate that process, right? No longer does Susie have to come in and run a report and figure out whose invoices are due this week in 5 days, today or Friday, whatever day it is she does. Now it's all being automated and sends that out. And then what Nicole talked about as far as anonymous, right? Actually, that email, they can just click a link, not even log into your customer payment portal, but actually just go ahead and pay it, right? And people like that, the ability to just go ahead and pay that open invoice that they want. The other thing that it can do, though, it does give them the ability to create an account with you online and then see all their open invoices and make all those payments. So really decreasing late payments, making it easy for someone to set up payment reminders, and just really improve that relationship because no longer do they feel like somebody is knocking on the door, right, looking for that payment. They can pay it anonymously, or they can pay it at their convenience, and you're just giving them a friendly little reminder that it's due. Also, it's very secure. You're going to get PCI compliance whenever you're using an online payment portal. I hear horror stories, right, where Susie is writing down somebody's credit card or bank information, and when their invoices are due, they're manually using that. Just a little naughty, right? Not something that we want to find out, right? That's going on in your AR. But I'm telling you, if you look at it, you see that happening in a lot of places. So this just gives you a nice secure, and then back to that integration, right? Providing a fully integrated solution for your customer to be able to log in and find all their open invoices and pay them. That integration is so important. And it's live, right? I don't want to know what my invoices that were due 5 days ago I want to know right now what open invoices I have today, right? So not something that's just getting updated once a month, once a week, once a quarter, right? It is live. So I can make a call and say, here are all my open invoices. Let me go ahead and pay them. And then that final thing is Nicole talked about quote to cash, right? How do we find the time to decrease how quickly we get paid? That's a question that your team probably has all the time. So what is the solution? Because we have all these invoices, we've sent the product out, right? So someone created a quote, it got turned to an order, and then it got turned to an invoice. They received that. The longer that it takes for them to pay is money that you're missing, right? In order to fully operate as a well fine-tuned machine as far as your organization. So it really is about that quote to cash, right? From quote to the cash in the bank. How do we decrease what that time is, right? In number of days rather than number of months. Just kind of time is money. And you see a quote here. And I don't know that I totally agree with this quote, because I've talked to many customers and I've talked to many people in accounts receivable, and sometimes they feel like they spend 11 hours a day, right?
Yeah.
Finding it is who I got to contact, right? Who still owes on the invoice? How many times do I got to call Bob, right? It's kind of a running joke, right? We call Bob 5 times, and on the 5th time he pays, right? So in this case, when this quote saying 11 hours per month, I'm going to tell you, if you go back and look at your account receivable departments, you're probably spending anywhere from 60 to 70%, sometimes 80 or 90% of their time chasing down payments on invoices. What could they better be doing for you? Or maybe it is, you're going to look to hire someone to do this. You got to imagine, right? How much would I spend in order to hire someone just to manage my invoice payments? So if you're looking at somewhere between, I'm going to guess, 30 to 50,000 a year, could you imagine if I could give you a solution that's only going to cost you 15,000 a year? Would that not be worth it? And not just that, not just worth it, right? The person that works 7 days a week, 365 a year, right? You know what I mean? They work every day, 24 hours a day. They're not going to leave you. You didn't invest 3 months training them and they're going to walk away, right? An online payment portal is something that we help you set up. We do most of the work. Once you make that connection to the ERP, right? It understands and has learned more than you could ever teach an employee in 2 years, let alone in about 2 weeks that we could set it up.
And it's automated. You don't have to worry about me getting up at 4 a.m. to pay mine. I'm a 4 a.m.er. I think Bill's a 2 a.m.er. So we would definitely be outside that window of making payments for sure.
And so Nicole's right. The funny thing is, whenever we do install this for customers, is they find out that their customers are willing to pay at some of the oddest times, right? Weekends, early mornings, late nights. And that's because they're just like you, right? Monday through Friday, they're going balls to the wall, right? 8 to 5, just trying to do what they need to do as far as business. And paying your invoice is the last thing that's on their mind. But when it does come on their mind, it's probably not when I can go ahead and call Nicole, right? And say, hey, Nicole, here's my credit card. Or, hey, I need to write a check. How many people are still sitting and writing checks? I had this conversation with a young adult the other day, and they didn't even understand how to write a check, right? So we've got to look at our business and think about, this next generation doesn't understand some of the things that we've been doing for decades, right? Those processes are in the past, and new people are going to look for paths. Young people are looking for paths to make it simple for them to actually come on and pay and work with you, right? And how about having a payment portal that does more? Not just pay an invoice. They can find an invoice and print that invoice. They can find if you have something in stock. They can find their customer specific pricing. They can build a quote request and send that quote in, and it all imports back into your ERP, right? That's the kind of technology that they're looking for, right? They're not looking for something that you used to do 20 years ago. Just a little bit, some of the clients that we serve, very similar to people, right, as far as distributors. And it is a wide spectrum of different distributors, from hose distributors to equipment distributors to medical supply and safety, janitorial. We work with a lot of different customers. We have over 120 customers that are with us and either have a payment portal or full e-commerce. So if you're also looking for a solution to integrate payment portal with your e-commerce, great idea. We also do that, right? So if you're ready to take that step one step further, we do have a solution that you can integrate that into your e-commerce and your customer never leaves your website in order to go pay a bill.
And I'm looking at that slide, and one of our longtime customers thought, as we have kind of learned about these two, especially Dunning emails and the anonymous payments, he's been using online payments, online invoice payments for several years. And he was like, well, let's go ahead and just add this to our add this to our portal and see if, our current customers like it. And I think we got 135 payments in the first 8 hours it was open. So this was already a customer distributor who was used to doing online payments. They were used to getting an email that said, hey, you need to log in, please pay your invoice. And we did this automatic invoice payments and anonymously and the Dunning emails. And then he had, I don't know, 13 or 14 people sign up who were like, oh, I've never signed up for this. I should probably, be on these emails. And like, well, it's anonymous. So he said, even with this long time, ahead of the trend, he really blew it out of the water the first day or two we had that open. So we know that this is important for sure.
Yeah, definitely. I love the cauliflower hose and fittings. Very, very comical name right there.
Yeah, it's awesome, right? To see distributors have some very unique names, and yeah, some are comical, some are just wow, that's just great as a company name.
And the whole 11 hours a month, and I agree with you, it's probably 11 hours a week, if not a day, that they're wasting time on that. And another good point is, yes, we all are using portals nowadays. So you got to get on the bandwagon and start using portals, because customers, B2C use them all the time. So B2B just expect the same experience. And we're all consumers, right? And we all use portals like you mentioned. So I wish my hairdresser had one, by the way. So
I'll share mine.
So it's just like the generation, right? That generation gap, and we have to get over that and understand that new people are coming in and they're just expecting this. This is just the norm now. And we have to, as distributors, we just need to get on that bandwagon of being in the now with what's going on in this world and what people want.
Of those trends. I was telling Bill, we traveled for the eclipse this week, and I still use my debit card, shockingly. And everywhere we went, they wanted you to scan with your phone to pay. And I'm thinking, okay, we're here trying to get our distributors to move from paper checks to online invoices. I'm like, can you imagine someone walks in and like, I just want to pay my invoice with my Apple Watch. Like, I just want to, scan my.
Crazy.
Yeah, but they're like, why do you carry your debit card? It's on your watch. I'm like, well, I don't know. What if my watch dies and I don't have?
That's true.
What if they? But that's their expectation.
I mean, you can rely on technology only so much, like you said. Like your phone could die, your watch could die, anything could happen, and then you at least you need your card as a backup, I feel like.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for joining me this week, or this month, I should say, for our What's the Buzz monthly chat. If anybody has any questions, again, feel free to put it in the chat. And otherwise, we will be getting this recording out to everyone, and you can certainly follow up with us. And with your questions, you can reach out to Nicole and Bill as well. We'll include that contact information in our recording email. All right. Well, thank you, everyone. Have a great day, and thanks for joining us this month.
And thanks for having us. We greatly appreciate it, Amy.
Yes, thank you for being here for What's the Buzz. I love it. Bye, everyone.